You know, when you watch a master illusionist on a stage, you usually find yourself staring at, I don't know, the flashy assistant, right? Or the burst of smoke.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Or the wand. You look exactly where they engineered you to look.
Right. And meanwhile, the actual mechanics of the trick, the trapdoors, the mirrors, the sleight of hand, that's all happening completely out of sight, operating with absolute ruthless precision.
Yeah, because controlling the variables is the entire point of the performance.
Hmm.
The illusionist creates this systemic environment where the outcome is mathematically guaranteed long before the audience even realizes the trick has started.
Which brings us to our topic, because in our context today, the audience is an opposing defensive coordinator, and that trapdoor is a perfectly executed offensive scheme.
A very expensive, very meticulously built scheme.
Exactly. Your mission, well, our mission in this deep dive is to deconstruct exactly how the Texas Longhorns built that trapdoor heading into the 2026 season.
Hmm.
And for you listening, we got a massive stack of intel to figure this
A
out.
mountain of it, really. Yeah. We have Steve Sarkisian's actual 101 plays offensive playbook. We're digging into the Longhorns' cumulative 2025 stats, where they went 10-3 and racked up, what was it, 5,050 total yards of
Yeah,
offense?
over 5,000 yards. It's wild.
We're also cross-referencing sports media reports on their transfer portal acquisitions, pulling advanced analytics, comparing their quarterbacks, and evaluating the betting market outlooks for the upcoming year.
And synthesizing all that data, it really paints a clear picture of how modern college football is managed at the absolute highest tier. I mean, it goes far beyond simply recruiting fast athletes.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the central premise here is that Texas didn't just recruit good players, right? They used raw data, a Wall Street-level name, image, and likeness infrastructure, and a mastermind offensive scheme to engineer a championship contender from the ground up.
They really did. But before we look at the talent on the roster, we have to understand the machine they're operating within. Right, the system. Looking back at 2025, Texas averaged 30.46 points a game. They capped off a 10-3 season with a bowl win over Michigan. But the foundation of their success, and, the reason Vegas favors them so heavily for 2026, stems directly from head coach Steve Sarkisian's offensive architecture.
Yeah, and the root of his scheme, at least according to the playbook breakdown we have, is the spread RPO, the run-pass option. But Sarkisian, he elevates it.
He takes it to another level.
He does. His fundamental philosophy is marrying the pass game to the run game so intimately that every single play-action pass looks indistinguishable from a run.
Right, because in a standard spread offense, defensive players are trained to look for tells.
Yeah.
Like they watch a lineman's pad level.
Exactly. Pad level is everything.
Yeah, meaning how high or low the offensive lineman's shoulders are when they fire off the snap. Low pads usually mean a run block, right?
Yeah.
And high pads usually mean they're retreating to pass protect. But Sarkisian's system demands uniform pad level.
Right. He essentially eliminates those visual tells entirely.
And the playbook notes highlight a specific, really devious innovation regarding how he manipulates the mesh point.
Oh, this is the best part.
So for you listening, the mesh point is that exact split second where the quarterback puts the ball in the running back's stomach, reads the defense, and decides whether to leave it there for a run or pull it back to throw.
That half-second decision.
Exactly. Well, Sarkisian has his quarterback actually pump fake a quick RPO throw at that mesh point just to draw the defense forward before hitting a receiver over the top on a double move.
Right. And a double move is simply a receiver faking a short route, stopping, and then sprinting deep.
It's pure misdirection.
It is, and putting those mechanics together is what drives defensive coordinators crazy. I mean, most elite college defenses utilize a three-safety look now. Instead of having two safeties deep, they deploy three, specifically designed to sit back, read the play, and prevent those explosive long-yardage passes.
But the pump fake breaks that.
Exactly. When Sarkisian utilizes that mesh point pump fake, he puts those three safeties in total conflict. He forces them to hesitate, stepping up to cover what looks like a short pass, and in a game of inches and angles, forcing a defensive back to hesitate for even a fraction of a second.
It's game over.
Yeah, it means your receiver with elite speed on the boundary, the area right along the sideline, is going to win the foot race every single time.
So the illusionist analogy holds up perfectly here. Sarkisian is making the defense look at the wrong hand. He's showing them a quick slant, and while the safety bites on the slant, the trapdoor opens underneath them for a deep touchdown.
That's exactly what's happening.
But to run a magician's offense, though, you need an elite point guard pulling the trigger. Enter Arch Manning. Looking at his 2025 season, the data parallels to the past are just fascinating.
They really are. I mean, the raw output for Manning in 2025 is stellar by itself. 248 completions, 3,163 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions.
That's a great season.
It is. But diving into the advanced analytics, specifically EPA, reveals the hidden architecture of the offense.
EPA?
Yeah, expected points added. Instead of just looking at total yards, EPA measures how much a player contributes to the team's expected point total on a per-play basis based on down and distance.
So context matters.
Exactly. A 3-yard run on 3rd and 2 has a high positive EPA because it gets a first down. That same 3-yard run on 3rd and 10 has a negative EPA because it decreases the likelihood of scoring.
Got it. And looking at the sources, Manning's 2025 season and Quinn Ewers' 2022 season under Sarkisian are statistical twins in this metric.
It's almost unbelievable.
It is. We're talking identical early down EPA, identical late down EPA, identical explosive rates, and identical EPA per play.
It's just carbon copies.
And the trivia connecting them just adds to it. Both Ewers and Manning played Louisiana Monroe in their very first start for Texas.
Oh, right, ULM.
Yeah, and both threw an interception on their very first career drive.
That's just one of those weird football anomalies.
It is. But I want to push back on these identical efficiency numbers for a second because the sources show a massive difference in how they actually arrived at them.
Right, the method was different.
Totally. In 2022, Ewers generated his efficiency through pass EPA. He relied on throwing to future NFL talent like Bijan Robinson and Xavier Worthy. But Manning, in 2025, generated his efficiency through rush EPA. He used his legs.
Yep.
So are these statistical twins a complete coincidence? Or does Sarkisian's system manufacture this exact statistical output regardless of who is taking the snaps?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the system is the constant, but it flexes to accommodate the variable.
How do you mean?
Sarkisian built an offensive framework that requires a specific baseline of mathematical efficiency to function. With Ewers, who's a pure pocket passer with elite deep threat receivers, he engineered that efficiency through the air.
Right.
But with Manning, who possesses incredible mobility, Sarkisian leans heavily into zone reads.
Okay, for the listener, a zone read is a play where the offensive line blocks in one direction, and the quarterback reads a single unblocked defensive player to decide whether to hand the ball off or run it himself.
Exactly. Sarkisian adapted the route to match Manning's traits, but they arrived at the exact same mathematical destination as Ewers.
Okay, but if the math is identical and the system is a perfectly calibrated illusion, how do we explain the 3 losses in 2025?
Ah, right.
Because they dropped games to Ohio State, Florida, and Georgia. The system clearly broke down against elite competition. So what happened?
The breakdown happened at the line of scrimmage. Arch Manning was forced to use his legs so much in 2025 because his offensive line was a significant liability against top-tier defensive fronts.
They just couldn't hold up.
No, they couldn't. The sources point to a revolving door at left guard and severe struggles with Cole Hudson at center. When you play a team like Georgia, who feels massive, NFL-caliber defensive tackles, and your interior offensive line gets pushed backward immediately at the snap,
The play is dead.
the entire spread RPO collapses. The mesh point we talked about earlier requires precise timing. If a defensive tackle is in the quarterback's face half a second after the snap, the quarterback can't execute a read, let alone a pump fake.
The trapdoor jam.
Exactly, the trapdoor jams.
Here's where it gets really interesting then. Texas identified this fatal structural flaw, and the way they addressed it for 2026 is just a masterclass in roster reconstruction.
Oh, they were ruthless about it.
They were. They didn't just tweak the offensive line, they bought a completely new one.
Quite literally.
Let's look at the pieces. Trevor Gooseby returns at left tackle, projected as a future first-round draft pick, anchoring Manning's blind side. Connor Robertson steps up to bring stability to the center position.
Those are the returning guys.
Right. But the transfer portal additions are what completely altered the geometry of this offense.
Because the portal allowed them to bypass years of development. They acquired Melvin Siani, an elite right tackle from Wake Forest.
Huge pickup.
Massive. And acquiring Siani created a domino effect, allowing Texas to take Brandon Baker, who had been playing out on the edge at tackle, and slide him inside to guard.
Which is a position that suits his skill set much better.
Much better. Then they added Lawrence Seymour, a 2-time All-American left guard from Western Kentucky.
So you're looking at a starting 5 of Gooseby, Seymour, Robertson, Baker, and Siani. To use a different analogy, they didn't just upgrade the engine parts, they built a custom bodyguard detail.
That's a great way to put it.
A great offensive line functions like a moving perimeter, maintaining the architectural integrity of the pocket. So the VIP, in this case, Arch Manning, can operate without panic.
And that moving perimeter prevents the immediate up-the-middle pressure that destroyed their mesh point timing against Georgia in 2025. It guarantees Manning the extra half-second required to let those double-move routes develop downfield.
But you don't just call up a two-time All-American from Western Kentucky or an elite tackle from Wake Forest and ask them nicely to move to Austin.
No, you certainly do not.
Texas leveraged a massive financial and brand-building machine to attract this talent, resulting in the number 3 transfer portal class in the nation. The sources detail a name, image, and likeness infrastructure that operates, honestly, more like a Wall Street investment firm than a traditional athletic department.
This is a crucial evolution in the sport. They partnered with the brand Human, going so far as to paint the corporate logo directly onto the stadium field in 2025.
Right on their ass.
Right on the grass.
Yeah.
But the real mechanism driving their portal success is the creation of the Longhorns Sports Agency.
Right. The sources explain that Texas partnered with Learfield, which is a massive collegiate sports marketing company, to run this agency internally.
It's brilliant.
It is. They aren't just handing recruits a bag of cash. They were sitting down with an 18 to 20-year-old athlete and offering wealth management.
Like a professional.
Exactly. They show them analytics on their social media reach. They set up LLCs for them, match them with local Austin businesses for endorsement deals, and project their 3-year return on investment. They're treating college athletes like professional corporate entities.
And when you pitch a transfer portal prospect with that infrastructure, you are selling them a comprehensive business portfolio. You're detailing exactly how their time in Burnt Orange will be monetized, sheltered, and grown.
Which is hard to say no to.
It's an overwhelming advantage when you're competing against programs that still view NIL as simply passing the hat among wealthy alumni.
And that portfolio approach secured absolute game changers for the skill positions, too. They brought in Cam Coleman at wide receiver, who's noted in the reports for his incredible concentration and hands in traffic.
He's a machine.
But the running back room really caught my eye. They brought in 2 transfers, Relic Brown and Hollywood Smothers. The scouting reports describe both of these guys as smaller, highly elusive space killers.
Yeah, very different body types.
Right. Meanwhile, they let a bigger traditional power back, like Trey Wisner, walk. So is Sarkisian fundamentally changing the identity of his run game to feature smaller players? Or is he just taking the best available athletes the portal offers?
Well, the shift in the running back profile connects directly back to the rebuilt offensive line.
Oh, really? How so?
Think about it. When an offensive line is struggling to create push, like Texas did in 2025, a play caller relies on a larger, bruising back with great contact balance.
Right, a guy who can just plow forward.
Exactly. A back like that can take a hit at the line of scrimmage, fall forward, and grind out 3 yards just to keep the offense on schedule.
Yeah.
But when you deploy a dominant elite offensive line, you don't need a bruiser to survive the first level.
Because the hole is already there.
Right. The line clears a massive, clean geometric path.
Meaning the running back gets through the defensive line completely untouched.
Precisely. The back arrives at the second level, the area 5 to 10 yards downfield, occupied by linebackers and safeties, with a full head of steam.
And that's where the shiftiness matters.
Exactly. In that scenario, a smaller, laterally agile space killer, like Relic Brown or Hollywood Smothers, is lethal. They can make a linebacker miss in a one-on-one situation in open space, turning a 5-yard gain into a 50-yard touchdown.
Wow.
The elite offensive line dictates the type of running back required, and smaller, shiftier backs fit Sarkisian's horizontally stretched RPO system perfectly.
So the pieces are entirely interdependent. Everything connects.
Everything.
Looking at their 2026 position rankings across the offense, the results of this portal strategy are glaring. Their wide receiver room is ranked #1 in the country, boasting a rotation of Ryan Wingo, Cam Coleman, and Emmett Mosley. It's an absolute embarrassment of riches on the boundary.
It is, but the rankings also reveal the vulnerabilities inherent in this roster-building approach.
Yeah.
You really have to look at the depth behind the starters.
That's a great point. The tight ends are ranked #5 overall, primarily because outside of Nick Townsend, they have very little proven depth. But the most shocking metric from the sources, though, is the quarterback room. Despite having Arch Manning, the quarterback room is ranked #3 nationally.
Yeah, and that ranking reflects the reality of their safety net. or lack thereof.
Yeah.
The backup quarterback, KJ Lacey, has completed exactly one pass in his entire college career.
Literally one pass.
One pass. If the offensive line fails, the illusion breaks down, and Manning takes an injury-inducing hit, the season is resting on the shoulders of a player with zero meaningful experience.
So they have pushed all their chips to the center of the table on Manning's health and efficiency,
They really have.
which makes the investment in Gooseby, Siani, and Seymour on the offensive line the single most critical factor of the 2026 season.
Without a doubt.
So what does this all mean? For you listening, why spend time deconstructing the intricacies of pad level and mesh points? Well, because Texas is providing a real-time masterclass in modern organizational management at the highest tier of sports business.
It's corporate strategy on a football field.
Exactly. They took an objective look at their 2025 operation, identified the structural failure points on their offensive line that cost them against elite competition, and they mobilized their assets.
They used every tool they had.
Yep. They used their NIL war chest and internal marketing agencies to systematically rebuild the machine, protecting their most valuable asset in Arch Manning. They even brought in veteran coordinator Will Muschamp to overhaul the defense, ensuring both sides of the ball are optimized. It is corporate problem-solving applied directly to the gridiron.
It really is. And honestly, the speed and efficiency of that problem-solving raises a significant question about the broader future of the sport.
Oh, like what?
Well, we're watching a top-tier college program identify a weakness and essentially buy a completely new elite offensive front in a single offseason transfer window.
Right.
For decades, the undisputed blueprint for success in college football was recruiting high school linemen, putting them in a collegiate weight room, and developing their technique for 3 years before they ever saw meaningful game action.
Because they just weren't big or strong enough yet.
Exactly. But if programs with Wall Street-level infrastructure can bypass that development phase entirely by just acquiring proven college veterans, does that mean the traditional strategy of recruiting and developing high school linemen is officially dead for college football's heavyweights?
Wow, that is the multi-million-dollar question underlying the entire season. We will see how the trapdoors and illusions hold up when the games actually begin. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep your eyes on the magician's hands, and we will see you next time.
Yeah.